Hello, ladies and gentlemen. How are you doing on this fine occasion? I'm doing wonderfully. Thank you for asking. All right, so welcome to Serving Nerve, the show where we talk about basically whatever we want. And today we're going to be talking about cults, cult-like mentalities, groupthink, and we're also going to be reacting to a video and/or kind of looking at a video that just randomly showed up on my feed algorithmically called "Why I'm Not in a Cult." It's by Vondel Pete. Do pardon my mispronunciation of such. But yeah, today we're going to just kind of break it down, take a look-see pop at it, and also see what we can add into the conversation. When it comes to cults, cult-like mentality, groupthink, things like that, I am generalizing in some regards. But yeah, I think it'll be fun, so let's do that. I hope this doesn't look particularly indecent. This is the best attempt I can do at, reorganizing my screen. So, we want to get this man's glorious face in the mix. You see mine too much. We need to showcase other individuals. So let's hopefully have this work out for ourselves.
Hi there, welcome back to Vondel Pete, and in today's video we're just going to talk briefly about why I'm not in a cult. Now, of course, I've mentioned cults on this channel before, and some people who've been watching my YouTube channel for a while now will remember when I tried to start a cult, and it ended quite quickly. And I've also talked about being part of a Japanese cult at one point. However, I think if you watch that video in full, you'll see that I didn't actually join a cult there. I was just at a Japanese Jesus festival that it had roots in a cult. But it was actually on that video I made about the Japanese cult, and somebody made a very sassy...
It's quite interesting. I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but that's kind of what you do with commentary videos. And also, it's very interesting, the concept of starting a cult, because I've always thought to myself how I'd love to start a religion, but I wouldn't want to become like Onision online, who's tried to start like a cult/religion or like whatever that was. I'm dumb, so I don't remember the exact context of the situation in the early 2000s, I believe. I feel like there are certain circumstances where creating your own religion or cult could be very interesting. I know definitively this is arguable, but I would say that to have a cult, you don't actually need it like rooted into religion. I'd say that's the most common though. It's incredibly common to have a lot of cult-like behaviors and or cults that can like root themselves in various religions and kind of weaponize those religions and also manipulate people through those religions to join their cults and or to have cult-like mentalities and behavior, which I think is incredibly toxic. As much as I adore the concepts of religion, and I actually do like reading about all religion just to have a good understanding of what I'm talking about and or what I'm like thinking about when it comes to philosophy, I really love religion, but at the same time, I cannot follow any particular religion out of fear that I will be guided and swayed from my path. Though, saying that, I do love Marcus Aurelius's meditations, so that's also basically something I can follow like a Bible. I do love philosophy. I will follow philosophy until the day I die. And technically, a lot of that philosophy does root itself as well in religion, so it's arguable. But cults and cult-like mentalities are really bad, particularly when it comes to not just religions, but political groups. You have to be very careful. I feel like with certain political groups, we have a lot of cult-like mentalities and groupthink. Not to say that these individuals are in a cult, but a lot of people are willing to just bend the knee in the wake of authority and or in the wake of certain values they believe in, and then will kind of live in denial with the things they don't agree with because they feel that they are served just enough to stay within such a group. Do you get what I mean?
comment on the video. They said that believing in any truth of MBTI is proof that you are in fact in a cult. So the comment was basically saying that if you can talk about personality types all the time like I do, then you're actually in a cult and you're deluded if you think that you're not. Now, I got a bit sassy at this comment and I wrote back and said, well, it's probably one of the better cults to join, because I feel like there is the Myers-Briggs Foundation that nobody seems to really care about.
You know, that is kind of true when it comes to certain, just systems of belief or just certain concepts. People can adopt a sort of admiration for them or find that they use them a lot, but it doesn't entirely mean that it's cult-like. Now, obviously, you have individuals who can take these things like holy doctrine and be controlled through what they're told, like when it comes to personality type information or tarot or bada bing bada boom, star signs. Those are other things that I think people can easily kind of treat like holy gospel. I've talked to a lot of people, particularly with star signs, where they're like, I'm a Leo rising and a Sagittarius. I'm very unversed, so do pardon such when it comes to me saying things incorrectly when it comes to astral aspects and star signs and stuff. But personally, I'm not particularly believing of the matters. I find that it's interesting to find personality types throughout these things, but also when you're human, you look for it and you usually find it, and some people will bend their personalities to actually fit whatever they're categorized in. So I'm personally not a super big fan of these kinds of things, but it is interesting. Some people can adopt cult-like or very conformant behavior, which can be somewhat cult-like, towards certain things that aren't even religious or political. They're just things. They're just concepts. You can have a concept wrap itself around your mind, and you can actually believe it full-heartedly and basically let it consume you. And then if other people also find themselves consumed with such, hypothetically, they can all find themselves in a cult or with a groupthink mentality or cult-like mentality. That's just my personal opinion, though.
Maybe they've got cult-like aspects, but I haven't joined them. I think in terms of like your average cult that people think about when they think of cults, they often think of more sinister cults that, you know, it's hard to leave them and it causes all sorts of pain to the friends and family around. However, I thought I would talk a little bit in this video about how I actually don't think I'm a good fit for a cult at all. I did a year of Cub Scouts where you have to go into this hall with all of these scout leaders and put on these scarves and badges and howl like a wolf every day at the ceiling, and it felt very cult-like, and I was a terrible scout. We once had to make a fire, and I remember I kicked the fire out. I just thought, I'm so bored with this whole making a fire process. I'm just going to put it out, and everyone started yelling at me. But what I'm trying to say is I didn't do well in that cult.
This is the other thing, is I don't think I would be particularly good in a cult either, because with a cult, you do need to conform. And many of us are non-conformant individuals, especially when it comes to things like school. I don't know about you, but I did terrible in school. I did absolutely atrociously, and I predominantly didn't even attend until I hit high school, where I bit the bullet and then went throughout that time period just to get my high school graduation and to get my degree from high school. But generally speaking, I defied all my teachers. I did not listen to them. I came up with ruses along with my classmates to defy them even more and create torment for them because they tormented me. I feel like I would not do well in a cult just on that basis, but even with work, I'm very non-conformant in some capacities, although I endeavor to do my job right and do things justly, as I always endeavor to do. I know that I can't do everything like that because of my non-conformance. And that's something I do try and bypass when it comes to professionalism, but by nature, being non-conformant does not give you a very good guise to be in a cult or to be able to appeal to groupthink on a common basis.
Cub Scouts, I didn't do well as a Catholic. I never liked being in any groups at all. And I mean, I could never be in sport teams. Again, it was just the fact that I was inept at physical things. I was not competitive with sports. I was not competitive with scouts. Another example would be when
This is another thing, is I'm actually very competitive, so I will do things to win. I'm a very competitive person, but I'm also somewhat perfectionistic, and also I do kind of go hard on myself at times, so I beat myself up a lot in some capacities. But when it comes to being competitive, I don't think you can really be like that with a cult. You can try and be competitive to get other people on your side, to compete with people who surround you that are not appealing to such, but generally speaking, you cannot compete with your superiors, your authorities, and your leader of your cult. But when it comes to physical sport, I'm also really competitive, and I really go hard on myself. Like, I want to run faster than everybody. I want to kickbox harder than everybody. I want to be able to lift more than everybody. I want to be able to pick up people one arm at a time, easy peasy lemon squeezy. Like, I'm very competitive in these regards, but even so, I don't believe that being competitive can help unless you're operating on being competitive with external forces that are also trying to gather people to be conformant to them, other than your own cult. If you get what I mean. I'm not making that much sense here.
I moved to Japan 10 years ago, and there was a J-vlogging scene. There were all these big Japan vloggers, people who moved from America, from Canada, from the UK and Australia, and they moved to Japan and they make videos about living in Japan. And I did that too, and it was very exciting to go and start that new life. And I'm glad I did it, and I had a really good time, but early on I went to this YouTube meetup, the J-vloggers meetup, the Hanami in Tokyo, and I schmoozed with big YouTubers, and I started getting more subscribers. I started getting emails wanting to do like collaborations with other YouTubers. And just the idea of being part of that scene, being part of a supportive community, made me feel really dirty. I remember being at, what was it? I was at Ikebukuro Station in Tokyo, and I was catching the train back after going to a karaoke night with some big YouTubers. thinking like, oh wow, I schmoozed, I left a good impression, and now I feel dirty within myself.
I'm so sorry I keep interrupting this. I feel like it's parasitic. Like it's not a symbiosis of sorts. It's like you're a parasite trying to leech like subscribers, views, things like that, which is one thing I definitely agree with. I feel like the networking on YouTube and other social media sites is more like I'll scratch my back on my own. I feel like it's very much a case where you always want like something from somebody and it's never just for like kindness or like goodness or camaraderie. It's always for something like I want these views, clicks, likes, and I know that if I go to this person, I can milk that from them, I can drain them of such, and maybe it doesn't affect them negatively at all, but it still will affect me positively, and it's almost like kind of like dog fuck-esque. So I personally can agree with stuff like that. I think that it's also really bad. Like, one thing I'm kind of against is the concept of a collaboration just on the basis that somebody has more views than me, so I can get more views as a result of their interaction with me on a platform. But even so, you can also look at reaction content or my commentary content that I'm actually proposing to you right now in this video, that this is technically parasitic and leeching because I'm taking this individual's work, this individual's conversation, and I'm using it for my own personal gain, which is bad. The only thing is, you could make an argument that I'm adding my own perspective, my own word, and also my own, personality and influence to help change the name of the game and narrate over an already existing video. But this is why also people really hate those reaction channels where it's literally just somebody laughing at a camera or just like clicking or doing something very boring and not adding anything to the conversation. It's like content theft.
Felt like I joined a clique. And when there was some night where they put a video of mine that was doing quite well. They showed it on a big screen at some bar in Tokyo, and I didn't even show up because I was like, no, because if I show up, I'll be part of the group. I don't want to be part of a group. I want to stay alone in my room. And I didn't. That night, I hung out with like a Japanese guy instead, got really drunk, didn't go to that event that I should have turned up to, even though I was thinking of going to that area in Tokyo where my film was being screened. Not film, my YouTube video was being screened. I just went straight home. And then I went on a message board for Radiohead because I'm a Radiohead fan. And it turned out that Tom York, the lead singer of Radiohead, just happened to be in Japan that night at a bar nearby doing DJ stuff. So I always imagine this other universe where I would have tried to be part of the cult of J-vloggers, the otakus, the geeks who create YouTube videos about being in Japan. I could have become friends with them. And I'm sure that if I went to that event, I would have gone to the bathroom at some point. I would have gone onto this forum, atease.com, in a bathroom, and I would have found out that Tom York was nearby, and then I would have gone and seen Tom York in a small Japanese bar DJing. But
That's so horrifying in every capacity, but I also think the same things, like Butterfly Effect, where there are alternative universes where I never left Canada and just died, or I I never met my roommate because I never met this one person in this one workplace, and then I ended up going to another workplace as a result of meeting this other guy that I liked, who I ended up meeting my roommate through, like things like that, which means I would have never lived in Dallas, and I probably would have lost all of my jobs in Dallas because I didn't have a car at the time when I moved, and like blah blah blah. Like that's kind of crazy stuff. But at the same time, this almost sounds like introversion or social anxiety or like no shade because we all have a little bit of introverted personality whittled into our own minds, and we also do feel like there are times where we don't want to be conformant to whatever group we're going to be applying ourselves to. There are times where all my coworkers are going to go out and do this thing and they all want to hang out, and I'm just going to be like, I don't want to go to the bar. I don't want to do it. Like, I like you guys, and I also want to because I don't want to have FOMO or the fear of missing out or whatever crap. But, like, honestly, it also does affect your mindset to think, man, what if I did this instead of this? What if I did this instead of this? And also, is not wanting to conform to a group actually your fear and anxiety about being consumed by the group? Or is it more just on the basis of you just don't feel like it, or you don't want to be conformant because you don't want to? Like, there are other variables that make it so confusing and complex, and then also can drive you to feeling even more torn as a result of something you feel you failed to do that could have changed your entire timeline. Truly unfortunate.
I didn't. I went home to be alone. That's how committed I am to not being part of any groups at all. I can't be part of fandoms. You know the word fandom? You know, when people they're still introverted, they find it hard to socialize, but they still join like these online communities and they feel part of it. And I'm not even good with that. So I guess the closest I am to a cult is this community, the MBTI YouTuber community, or actually a very small part of it, where it's like There's like friends of the channel, like Radish Raven and Buffo and
Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I have no idea what YouTube community this is or anything like that. I literally was just deaking right in here, so I'm out of context right here, okay? I will take the L on this. But I do have to point out, yes, technically, okay, I really try to discourage this mentality, and I really want people to think for themselves. But when you follow channels, you are influenced by the word of the channels you follow. Also, when it comes to fandoms, I feel like that's a very, like, more child-oriented thing. When I was a kid, concept of a fandom was mind-blowing. Everybody had their thing they were into. Harry Potter, Homestuck, whatever. Video games, whatever the case was. Legend of Zelda. Fandom galore, fandom galore. As long as you don't end up on Rule 34, it doesn't matter. And please do not look that up. But generally speaking, when you're on YouTube, being a YouTuber, you are influencing individuals whether you want to be or not. And that comes with all social media sites where you have collectives of individuals by number gathered on your channel or your platform or your, feed, where you can post anything and your influence will hit at least some of those people.
Dully is an old INFP Insights, and other ones I've left out. It's like Casserole. That's my cult, and it doesn't feel like a cult. I feel too independent. I don't feel like we're doing any rituals, and I don't feel like I don't feel like if I stepped away from it, I would be hunted down and murdered by, say, Dulles. He seems really nice. I don't see him doing it.
See, this is the other thing. This doesn't even sound like, I don't know what their group is, but this doesn't really sound like a cult. This just sounds like friendship, and there is a difference between the two. Companionship, camaraderie. Just because there is positive influence amongst individuals who all have channels and platforms and influence other individuals does not mean that they have to appeal to the concept of being cult-like, groupthink-esque, or having cult-like behavior, even though perhaps some of those things can be found within such. I'm not sure. I've not looked into this dude before. I might check out some of his other videos.
So that's why I'm not in a cult. I hope you got something out of this video. Let me know in the comments if you relate to what I just said. I think I went on a few tangents in this video, which is very unlike me. Anyway, I'll see you next time.
So honestly, I am not in a cult. I don't promote cult-like behaviors, mentalities. I don't believe in groupthink. I don't believe in even following political groups in any capacity. And even if there are things I believe in personally, I will not follow groups that even appeal to such, because then the groups will control me in some regards, and I won't be myself anymore. I will be part of the group. I will kind of be consumed. This is also one reason why I always tell you guys to basically think for yourselves in many of my videos. And even if I promote things like philosophy or some other kind of variable, I really try to make it so that at the very least, you are thinking for yourself in that regard or in another regard. I really don't like the idea of us being consumed by one concept or one idea. So this individual is very interesting. I'd like to check out some more of his videos just so I can kind of understand the full depth and range of what he's talking about. But in general, yeah, I don't recommend being in a cult or a cult-like mentality or to have that mindset where you conform to other individuals. I don't really believe it. I think it's good to appeal in some capacities to things like law, being lawful, acting morally. But at the end of the day, that's a subset of beliefs that you can have instituted amongst a series of individuals that have a level of subjectivity based on locations that you're in, states you're in, countries you're in. Obviously, all laws are different in every country, and morals are subjective based on a series of variables like upbringing, religion, whatever. But the point I'm trying to make to you is to not always fall for people's words. Never believe that anything is always going to be holy doctrine. Literally think for yourself. It's the best and most liberating thing you can do for yourself. And I think it's very interesting because I really hope that I do not appeal to the ultimate irony and collect a group of individuals online that will follow my channel and will tell me that they believe everything I say, that they'll believe everything I say by word. I really hope that people can question me and think for themselves and not appeal to the futility of me having some sort of superiority over them based on a series of numbers and calculations online. That would be absolutely mortifying and truly ironic. Almost like I would be a hypocrite. That's the video. Tell me what you think in the comments below, my people, and I will see you next time. What do you think about cults, cult-like mentalities, behaviors? What do you think? Even if it fits your beliefs, would you follow a group undyingly? And if that group somehow went against part of your beliefs, would you still follow them undyingly because the predominant amount of your beliefs has been appealed to in any capacity? Tell me what you think in the comments below, or if I'm absolutely crazy. Anyways, that was the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Slater.